Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. My name is Cindy for May 13th. So today I want to take a look at some justices sort of individually. And I'm going to start with Alito, and I'm hoping I can get through Thomas and John Roberts, and we'll see who follows that. Um, you know, unless I'm misremembering, that Women's March under the name hashtag We Won't Go Back, I believe is for May 18th. Women are the largest voting bloc in the United States. So hopefully that is something that is well remembered by the midterms. Or you guys are going to have a heck of a problem on your hands. All right, let's start with Alito, since sort of it was his leaked memo or whatever it was called that has caused this massive kerfluffle. And, the justices always carry this attitude of, you can't bully us and you can't even criticize us. How dare you? But you have to think on some level they must be feeling the kind of pressure they're feeling. But, I guess it depends on whether or not their loyalties are divided. Maybe it depends on how much pressure they feel from outside sources. And for some of them, like the Amy Barrett and Kavanaugh, I think they just really, really do believe that women are just should not have control of their body, which is appalling coming from a female justice. There we go. Come on down. All right. Let's start with Alito. I think we're going to go with Alito, current trajectory, Alito, current trajectory, Alito, current trajectory. So he, along with his cohorts on the Supreme Court, are presenting this very sort of, they're standing behind the strength of the institution. Let me say it that way. There are too many pentacle cards here out of the 4. So that raises questions to me about what other influences may be going on or may be coloring their decision. The 3 of Wands is interesting. It's sort of like he's sort of sitting in a bit of a waiting moment. He's actually really determined to hang on. He actually thinks that what he wrote is the way it should be written. It is extreme to the degree, but he feels that that's exactly how it should be. It was really interesting. I'm just going to digress for a second. I don't know if any of you caught the Rachel Maddow show on Monday night, this past Monday. She was talking about sort of the whole abortion situation. And it took many, many years, like until I think it was 1988, for even any of the right kind of religious organizations or evangelicals to even hop on the abortion is bad bandwagon. Prior to that, their big thing was not desegregating schools. Okay. And in fact, between 1973 and 1988, um, Republicans and sort of those more evangelical religions, they really viewed the abortion situation as a Catholic problem. This was a Catholic thing. This had nothing to do with them. In fact, at one point, I think it was Jerry Falwell who was asked what he thought of it, and he was like, well, why should I even be concerned? So you can see how, over time, that extreme right sort of fundamentalist attitude um, was able to mold and shift sort of public thinking to turn this into a really, really big deal. It's really sad, that for a place that is supposed to keep state and religion so separate, they have gotten so intertangled. And frankly, it's disappointing that all throughout all of the democratic governments that have been in place, at no time did they try to codify the abortion rights. Like it's kind of sad. Democrats were just not paying attention. Meanwhile, the likes of Alito were becoming more and more entrenched in their anti abortion stance. And as you can see, in the last 6 years, it has gotten to a place where it is like just just extreme. How's Alito doing? He's just kind of working away, kind of doing his thing. I have the feeling that when this decision gets, or ruling, or whatever they call it, when it gets handed down, I think it is not going to be quite as extreme, but I also don't think it's going to be rolled back in a way so that no one has anything to worry about if you're a female. Um, and I got to say, it looks like Alito's actually not going to be that thrilled with it. I have long said that I just didn't see a lot of longevity for him on the bench. He is one of the people that I have been saying for a little while now that I actually don't see him on the bench much, much longer. So it feels very much as if there's something that is behind the door, something in shadow that we can't see pertaining to him. I don't know whether it is perhaps his health. I don't know whether it is some other situation in his world, but it feels more and more as if um, when he looks forward, he doesn't see a lot of future or longevity to where he's at right now. And again, it makes you wonder if some of these kind of theatrics that are going on have more to do with their name in history than really a whole lot of anything else. And that's tragic. So I have to say, for right now, overall, the energy is this. He's dug his heels in. Things may be softened a little bit here and there, but honestly, when he wrote that initial rule memo, whatever you call it, draft, um, he was really like his dander was up, and he really felt like this was right and this was true. And it didn't matter that, when he um, was named to the court all of those years ago, that he acknowledged that, Roe versus Wade was established law. So did all of them. So did all of them. I don't think he's going to be around too much longer. Yeah, I don't. Anyways, as I was said, he's working hard. He's kind of staying behind the scenes. He's not going to be. He is actually, I don't think, going to be all that happy with the final ruling. I think it's going to be softened a little bit, but I'm warning you, I don't see it being softened enough. I'm going to move on to Thomas. So the last time I did Clarence Thomas's reading, and it was about, the kerfluffle with Jenny, the wife. And I remember saying at that time that he was just sort of going to lay low, and they were going to wait for the attention to shift. And it sort of seems that that's what he's doing, because that sort of indignation over the communications between his wife and Mark Meadows seems to, have dissipated. And so I guess if you are the Thomases, it made perfect sense to just stay still and quiet and wait for the news cycle to change. And of course, it has changed a whole lot. Oops, that doesn't want to show. Let's try that again. So we're going to look at Clarence Thomas and see what is going on in his world. As I'm stepping into the energy, I again am getting some sort of a health concern or a health issue. Let's see what's going on there. Clarence Thomas trajectory, Clarence Thomas trajectory, Clarence Thomas trajectory. Here we go. And you know what? I got to say one more thing. And this has always made me crazy with, and it doesn't apply to every single one, but it certainly applies to a lot of them. So you have a lot of this sort of religious, right? This happens in the Catholic faith. I think it happens in fundamentalists. I think it happens everywhere. And it's this sort of sense of, you know, men are ultimately in control of their bodies. You know, women should just bear fruit. And that's just how it should be. But have you ever noticed how many of those people yakking on about that belief and that doctorate only have 2 children? I'm just saying, think about it. Think about it. You know, they don't want to interfere in any way, shape, or form with a woman's ability to reproduce. Something magical must happen after the second child. I don't know. I'm just saying. It's always bugged me. It's like you stand on your soapbox on the one hand, but yet somehow magically there's only 2 kids. Clarence Thomas. All right, so right now he is like big sigh of relief. Okay, now everybody is yelling about other stuff. Thank you, Ukrainian war. You know, thank you, Alito, for like causing an absolute stink about this. He really feels like he sort of escaped with his skin intact. But you know, in a lot of this, there is stuff going on behind the scenes that he doesn't like, and he is quietly aware of kind of the slippery slope that is going on here, because there's going to be, you know, if the Republicans get that hold, they will go after contraception. They will go after gay marriage. And then they're going to go after interracial marriage. Well, hello, Clarence and Jenny. How you doing? So I think on some levels, he is sort of a little, um, perhaps annoyed that um, as it stands right now, that decision really is very sort of stringent. Um, this is interesting. It makes me wonder if he's almost not trying to distance himself a little bit, trying to change the narrative. And of course, they all have changed the narrative from what was in that document to how horrendous it's been that there was a leak. And well, you know what? Maybe you should be paying attention to what people are upset about. He plans on remaining firm and strong in his position, in his sort of little throne. But there are things, again, there's stuff going on, and he needs to find a bit of a balance. And I don't actually think that he is, um, that he's able to achieve it right now. I'm not sure what this is about, but it feels like there is just a significant imbalance just in his day-to-day life. So whether there is, stressors with the job, aggravating the marriage, whether there is too much work and not enough sort of downtime, whether there is a health issue and he's pushing, I don't know. But there's a lot of this kind of juggling going around, and he can't seem to find sort of his balance. He's another one who, just really wants his voice to be heard on some of these issues. He takes his role as a Supreme Court justice very, very seriously. Sorry, excuse my cough. It's spring, allergies. So that's what you kind of got here. Um, I don't know, like energetically, 'cause I'm looking at the cards, but energetically, what I get is just a sense that I don't know. And for him, I see a sudden departure from the bench. I wish I could tell you what was going to happen in 2 weeks or 6 months or whatever. I don't know, but because it's on my radar, it's kind of there somewhere. But he right now, like I said, he right now is like just big sigh of relief because the pressure is off of him and his wife. Um, and there is an awareness within the justices that what went on there is really not right and that he really should recuse himself from certain cases. But in many, many ways, it's just sort of that like old boys collective, even though they've got females on the bench. But it's really that sense of, either we stick together or we hang together. And so, despite what people may privately think or what they may even have said, when it comes to the public front, they are going to stand very, very united. Those Republicans are standing shoulder to shoulder, and they're not gonna bend. Let's take a look at Robert. So there has been kind of this quiet talk that maybe Roberts is going to soften the language, and But remember, like always remember this about Roberts. He is not some savior for the Democrats, okay? There are times when he votes sort of with the Democrats, but he never does that when it's actually going to change the outcome, okay? Just remember that. Let's have a quick peek, shall we, on Chief Justice Roberts. Okay, I'm stepping into his energy. There is a lot of stress around him. He's running around trying to put out fires and smooth the waters. Let's take a peek, shall we? Chief Justice Roberts' trajectory for Roberts. He's balancing. He's trying to get things calmed down and settled down. He doesn't like what's going on. He feels actually quite responsible for the fact that the reputation of the Supreme Court has really, really been, in a lot of ways, damaged. And he feels that, it's his watch, and that shouldn't have happened, because when it's all said and done, he's going to carry a significant amount of the blame and responsibility for the decisions that the court has made. Especially those decisions that the court is making that are so kind of opposed to what the majority of Americans think. Those decisions that have the country going backwards instead of forwards. So it just feels like he's going kind of from justice to justice and trying to balance things out and trying to calm things down. But as I said, I don't know, frankly, that he's going to be that successful at doing so. There's very, very definitely the feeling that he has, along with the others, that the Supreme Court is not to be questioned. Which is ridiculous, but that's what he thinks. And he understands very clearly that when the previous puppet of Mitch McConnell's in the White House came into office, that presidency was going to be used to really, really unbalance the court. He's aware of that. He understands it. He saw it happening. And so even though there are things that he sees that he finds really almost distasteful, certainly disrespectful, he's very well aware of the higher agenda. And so what he will do is he'll try to brush some of the sort of smudge off of him. But in the final analysis, he's really not going to go against sort of the Republican mandate, if you will. He's busy behind the scenes, right? He's trying really hard to kind of get something put on paper that's not going to be quite so in your face. But as I said, don't be fooled by that, because as far as I can see, this really is all about him towing the company line. Okay? I don't see him leaving the court anytime soon, but I do see him being damaged. And in some ways, sort of almost irreparably damaged. Certainly in the interim, whether that's the next 5 years or 10 years or however long it is. But I definitely see that he's got some spin that is going to need to take place around the way this court has sort of become what it has become. Okay? Let's take a quick look at Amy Coney Barrett. This may not be a nice thing to say, but I gotta tell you, every time I see her, I can't help but think about the Stepford Wives. Like there's something sort of I don't know. There's just something about her that makes you feel that she doesn't see any problem at all with infringing her rights and her beliefs on the country, because she believes that her beliefs and her rights are the appropriate ones and the correct ones. There's just something about her, I almost want to say, that is too compliant. There's just an energy about her that just kind of makes my skin crawl a little bit. What's going on with her? I know that other readers have said that they see her having sort of gynecological or female type problems. In some ways, you got to say, talk about irony. But let's take a look and see what I see at this point, shall we? Amy Coney Barrett, current trajectory. Amy Coney Barrett, current trajectory. Amy Coney Barrett, current trajectory. Interesting, the Hierophant keeps coming up, eh? Okay. As of right now, she completely and totally agrees with Alito's take on things. We'll start there. It's perfectly fine with her. Absolutely perfectly fine. These people that sort of come out of the Federalist Society, they're almost like clones, And at some point, you're not even sure if they actually believe what the Federalist Society believes, as much as they simply have their marching orders. If you want to get from point A to point B, this is what you say. If you want to get from point B to point C, this is how you conduct yourself. It really feels like that. Like that society has an insane amount of power. She's about balance, okay? She is about not rocking the boat, voting the way she's expected to vote. She is not going to step out of line. She feels that as the only kind of female who sees the female role correctly, she has a very heavy burden to carry. And she's very mindful of it. In her world, it really, really is sort of black and white. And a long time ago, she submerged any part of herself where she was like connected to her intuition, to her own feelings, to her own thoughts. In many ways, she has become, or is, kind of a puppet. She doesn't question. She really doesn't question. If this is the kind of the way things are supposed to go, then that's exactly how she's going to vote. If this is what the Federalist Society believes, that's what she believes too. She's going to just sort of continue working sort of very quietly and unobtrusively, I almost want to say, behind the scenes. So one of the things that everybody just is going to have to suck up, I'm sorry, is the fact that I don't believe that any of the current Supreme Court justices are ever going to be removed from the bench because they lied under oath. Okay, just putting it out there. They're not going to be. If anybody's waiting for something to happen that's going to magically remove one of these guys, I don't see it's happening. Now, I do know that Senator Whitehouse is continues to do sort of this investigation on Kavanaugh. But I don't believe that has not specifically, I don't think about lying. That's not what he's going after. I think he's trying to follow a money trail there. I'm going to take a quick look at Kavanaugh too. But for any of you who think, well, they all lied when they were being, confirmed, they should all just be removed from. But it's not going to happen, okay? And it's not going to happen to her, and it's not going to happen to any of them. She's suffering a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. There actually is a worry in her own head that she may have to leave the court after a very short tenure. Based on this, I have to say that it does look like if there's any physical issue going on, it really does feel like it's gynecological. And there's a sadness around her. But that sadness, wow, the sadness around her doesn't translate to compassion. And that's it. That's it with her. She's just going to walk quietly and try not to make any waves. She's going to keep herself out of the turbulence. And she is going to continue to believe basically what she has been told to believe. And she will make her decisions based on that. And that is incredibly sad because, like I said, this whole separation of church and state, I'm sorry, but as of right now, that has been a huge failure in the United States' political history. Huge. Because, if anything, the church and state have got so interwoven that you can't even separate them anymore, which is really sad because, like Canada, the United States is a melting pot, right? It's so everything. It just is, right? And it's sad that one belief structure has somehow managed to literally override the system. But it has. Let's take a look at Kavanaugh quick. Brent Kavanaugh trajectory, Brent Kavanaugh trajectory, Brent Kavanaugh trajectory. Here's another one with too dang many pentacles showing up. You got 4 cards here and 3 of them are pentacles. The page, the ace, and the 4. Oh, and why not? Here's the 8 of pentacles. So in his world, there is going to be news coming forward pertaining to money and finances. I don't think this is immediate, but I think that there is something sort of quietly brewing behind the scenes. He is another one who very, very much feels like he needs to kind of keep quiet and not draw a lot of attention to himself. Because in some teeny tiny part of his brain that isn't completely ego driven, he knows that it was only because of that moment in time, that presidency and that Senate, that he got in. And so he, like, he's sort of aware that he's the one who has like the stain, if you will. But I can't help but feel that there's going to be something coming out. It's not going to put him in a good light. I don't think this is marriage. I think, though, this could be some kind of a deal that was made. It may have to do with money. It may also have to do with information coming out about some sort of sexual misdeed or misconduct. His wife will stay by his side. She doesn't like him much, you know. She really doesn't. And I think to some degree she's probably scared of him. But she's another one who understands the role and the obligations of somebody who is married to somebody who, frankly, is that high up on the totem pole. I mean, whether we like him or not, he holds a very, very powerful position within the co-equal branches of the government, within the institution of the courts. He's just like he's biding his time. He's just trying to keep on keeping a low profile so that he like doesn't draw attention to himself. But I have a feeling that there's going to be some information coming out about him, probably pertaining to money, probably pertaining to something maybe a little bit more personal. And you know what? And I want to say, and you know what? He's going to be back in the spotlight again, but I don't think he will. I think he's going to have anxiety about it. He's going to have worry about it. He's going to be trying to figure out how to like wiggle his way around. But as long as this stuff comes out anytime, literally, I want to say within the next 6 months, it's going to barely cause a ripple because there's so much of the crazy going on. If it takes longer than that to surface, that could actually cause him some significant problems as he goes forward. It has to do with money. Things are not going well for him, and they're not going to go well for him. But for right now, he is one of 9 incredibly powerful people in the American court system. So there you have it. Alrighty, it's Friday. It's the weekend. Take some time, enjoy. If it's nice where you are, get some sun. Take a moment to send thoughts and love and protection and prayers to the people of Ukraine and all of those impacted. And of course, to all the others who need some light in their life. Until next time, take care. Be well. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.